Everybody, happy Friday. This is Overpass Live. My name is Eric. I make apps. Now, this is our weekly live stream where we've done no preparation. We're just going to shoot the bull. We're just going to hang out. We're going to chat. We're going to talk about apps. We're going to talk about technology. We'll talk about business. Maybe we'll talk about Airwolf. We did that one time too. So we just talk about whatever we want to talk about, completely unscripted, and we just hang. You know, it's been a really busy week for me. It's just been this week. I've done no videos this week. It's just been the slog. You know, the slog that, you know, that stick-to-itiveness. You're trying to find a bug, which I still haven't found yet. Basically, we have an app for a client that released in it's in Xamarin, released an application, and it seems to be working well on most Android devices, but on some it does not. So I'm really trying to go through and do that, and it's so difficult. So I've got all my devices out. I had to move them all to my table because my desk was cluttered with all my old devices, my new devices. I've been using automated testing. I've just been going through the whole thing, and it's just driving me crazy. It's just driving me crazy because you think you're nearly there, and you don't. And if you're any of you guys who all you software developers out there, you know what this is like. You know what it's like to go through this slog. And this week was one of those weeks for me. So. But there's like a lot of cool things happening in the news this week, which we'll go through. But first, let's say hello to everybody. Can you guys hear me okay? First of all, make sure you guys can hear me, so I'm not just, you know, whatever. John's here. This live stream better be good. Damn it, come on, no pressure. I was meant to arrive in Spain today for nearly 3 weeks of holidays, but instead I'm stuck in Ireland and it's raining. I'm expecting extra effort today, Eric. All right, no pressure. We're going to talk about some cool stuff today. Maybe. I don't know. Perhaps. And everyone, smash that like button. Cool. Fist007 says, yo, what's up, Eric? I'm good. Hey, everyone. How's it going? Hey, Fist007, are you a big James Bond fan, 007? Hopefully we'll all get to see the new Bond movie sometime this year. Do you know what? The thing about the Bond movie, first of all, you guys can't hear me, right? When they announced that they were going to postpone it from April until November, I thought that was overkill. I thought, well, I guess they do have a global audience. All those people in Asia, aren't going to be able to see it. Maybe that's why they're doing it. It was like, dude, they were like the first one where I thought, the first major film where you thought, oh yeah, now it's like all these things I don't even know when they're coming out. Remember Black Widow? That movie was supposed to come out, and Top Gun and everything, and that's one thing about. So one of the baseball's coming back in a couple weeks. So the Padres are going to start playing for a short 60-game season. I don't know if so things are coming back. Says, any gaming app developer here? Possibly. There are quite a few game developers here. Rizwan is, actually. I'm a good marketing of the app. If anyone is interested in a rev share model, let me know. Okay. Yeah, rev share model. So Zero Supremacy. Hola, Zero Supremacy. Me llamo es Eric. That's the extent. I don't know why I attempted that. Just thought I'd dazzle you with my good Chinese. Last week I spoke a bit of Chinese. This week I thought I would impress you with pretty much all the Spanish I know. Rabu Kumar says, hey Eric, which song starts before the stream starts? I don't know. I forget what it's called. I use the artlist.io for the music on the videos. So every so often, I haven't done it for a while, where I go out and I film a little bit and there'll be some music in the background. I usually go on artlist.io because I just pay for that service so that I can use the music. And that was just one that I liked, and every time it gets me in the mood for the live stream. Modi says, hi. James is here. Hey James, how's it going? Biswajit, hey Eric, hey, how's it going? Biswajit. Modi says, hi Eric, should we use keyword installs ads from legit websites, not from fake bot installs? I'm not sure what that means. Should we use keyword installs ads from legit websites and not from fake bot installs? Yeah, I don't specifically know what you mean, but like just the fact that you're saying fake bot installs, that just sounds like something you shouldn't be doing anyway. Liger Infotech, hey, how's it going? Yeah, are you new here, Liger? Welcome. Sadek Tahani, hey Sadek, how's it going? Hamdan Naina says, hi sir, I'm a fan of you because your every video is very informative. Not all of them. All right, some videos, there are some videos that I've done that even I, at the end, as I'm editing, I'm going, oh, this one really sucks today. I'm just gonna put it out, especially when I was doing it every day. And I think a lot of the times when I'm doing the video, one of the reasons I haven't got any videos out this week, just mainly because I've been so busy. I've had like loads of stuff. There's lots of stuff I want to talk about. I still want to do, like, go through the whole new Google Play console, the changes to the beta. I want to talk a little bit about, there was like a news story yesterday on BBC News about tech jobs in the UK. So there's like, for web designers and developers, there's like a 15% rise in job listings. So it's like there's a lot of companies that are going into tech, because they're like, they don't want to end up in that situation again. So it's a really good time to be a developer at the moment. I want to do a video about that. There's quite a few things, and I've just been slammed with this thing. I even feel guilty for doing the live stream this week because I got a few. I still got that crashing issue, and you know what it's like. Any of you guys who have a bug, you know what it's like. I don't mean like an STD or I mean like when you got something. It's like the whole day could go by because you're thinking about it, and then you think, hang on a second, let me try this, right? And then you start doing into that, and the next thing you know, an hour has gone by or 2 hours has gone by. So it's those kind of things keep popping up. So Leandro, hey Leandro, how's it going? Gnarly. Thanks for bringing it back, Leandro. Jamal Hen. Matt Glover says, hi Eric, have you got to the bottom of the drop in the rev from AdMob? Is it just one of those things? At the moment, it seems like it should be something more on the top of my schedule, but I haven't really looked at it. I do need to have a look and find out what it is. But yeah, it's definitely a drop. I mean, if you guys were here on the live stream last week, I was looking at since the beginning of July, it just my AdMob revenue has fallen off a cliff, almost to the point where, sorry if I'm talking too fast, I'm just excited to see you guys. It's been a long week. So last week I showed like my revenue, and like at the beginning of July, it just dropped. It went from like 20 pounds a day roughly to about 7. So I need to find out why that is. It's almost as if something's been rejected or something. And we get so many emails from Google Play and from AdMob that it's easy to ignore them, and I got to go through and look at them. I get emails from AdMob almost on a daily basis, which say, AdMob has restricted serving ads to your app, right? And it's actually every single time, nearly every single time, it's referring to an application that I've already unpublished ages ago. So I have apps I've unpublished 2 years ago, and I can't like turn off the ads. Like, okay, I can have to figure out a way to do it. Like, go stop telling me that you stop serving ads, because every time my heart stops a bit. But now I've become desensitized to it. So they could have actually sent through something in the last week that said, oh, AdMob has restricted ad serving, and I may have ignored it, and it actually is a big one. So that's one of the things I have to go through and look through. Mark, hey Mark, how's it going? Good news this week. That was a really good week. Shivam Shrivasta says, hi, I have a question. Cool. What's the career path for mobile developers after senior mobile developer in Android and Flutter? Should I go for Golang or machine learning? It depends on what you want to do. Like, and it depends on the career path. I mean, it's like saying, I don't think you have to move on from being a senior mobile developer, to be honest with you. Like, unless you're just like bored and you want to move on to something else. And then it's basically what you're learning. Going for Golang is just the Go language, right? That's, it's just Go. I mean, you're just learning another language, going from one language to another language, whereas machine learning would be a whole conceptual leap into something completely different, which, and believe me, I know, because a couple years ago, I made a video saying, I've committed to it, I'm going to learn machine learning, and then I started learning it, and I thought, damn, this is really hard. All those times where they said to be good at computers, you have to be good at math, and I was just like, I'm not good at math, but I'm still, I can still code, I can still all this stuff. And then I got to machine learning, and I thought, so that's what they meant. It was like really, it got really complicated really fast. So those of you guys who are like with a mathematical background, that might be one of those kind of things. Machine learning might be one of those kind of things that separates the form builders, database connectors from the hardcore, I know low-level coding and all this stuff, which maybe, It doesn't. I mean, one of the things about about app development is there's a very low barrier to entry. I mean, that's not to say that anybody can pick it up, because there's a huge, like, you talk with people who are running unit tests and doing UI tests and doing automated testing, and they've got full code coverage, and they're like the professionals. They know how every platform works, all that kind of stuff. And then there's the people who are just, they're just reskinning, or just, it's all spaghetti code. It's not maintainable. It crashes frequently, that kind of stuff. So there's a spectrum of good people there. But like with something like machine learning, I mean, I found this out when I was trying to do it, because I was watching videos by, what's that guy's name? The guy who got caught for the copyright. I forgot his name. But anyway, I was watching some of his videos. He made it look really easy. And then I thought, I'll learn that, because that would be so awesome. I mean, imagine to take the business to Overpass, where we specialize in that. That would be cool. And then it got really hard really fast. But so I would think, if you have it in you, Shivam, I think I would go machine learning. But that's just me. It depends on what you want to do. Biswajit says, I'm making my second game. It's a 2D top-down shooter. Awesome. Are you using tiles? Hola, Overpass, man. Hola. Hola, Rizwan. Aloha. Kiki Twerk. Kiki Twerk says, Android 4 made my life a nightmare. Is that really your name? So Android 4.0. Are you still supporting Android 4.0? So for me, Kiki, I was having this trouble. I'm having trouble with Android 5, right? So I started to support Android 5 and above on this application, and it's yeah. I mean, it is. I'm trying not to go as low as 4, because that's that's all the way back to what, Froyo and stuff. I mean, that's old. So yeah, I totally get what you're saying. Theo Taylor says, developer mafia. That's right, we're the developer mafia. Don't cross us. We're going to make you an offer you can't refuse. We're going to make you an offer you can't refuse. Apavelli, hey, are you excited to watch baseball? I wonder how it will be with no fans. Okay, to be honest with you, I'm worried about that too, Apavelli. I'm thinking, like, without fans, I think it's going to be like watching a high school game. I think it's going to be like if I don't have a kid out there playing, should I even bother watching it? Like, without like being part of the whole thing about Major League Baseball, I guess sports in general. I mean, I know you guys think I'm kind of like a jock and into all the sports and everything, but I'm a computer programmer, so I think baseball is the one sport that I like, and I try to get into football/soccer when I came out here, and I watched the World Cup, and I tried to get into other things, and I just haven't been able to. But baseball was the one I grew up with. So, but there's something about the roar of the crowd, and even when you watch like an away game, and like and then every time your team does well, then like the other side boos, like the crowd doesn't even care, right? But there's just something about the sharedness of this, and being out in like, maybe if I was in a sports bar or something, then I would, but there's no sports bar in all of England that's going to show a San Diego Padres game at 3 o'clock in the morning. And if there was, I'd be the only one there. So, but yeah, I am worried about that. The no fans, and I'm not worried. I mean, it's kind of like even the 60-game season. Even whoever wins the World Series this year, it's going to be that asterisk on it saying they won the World Series, but there's only 60 games. So I don't know how that's going to work. Rano Jarvin, I mean, for those of you guys who are not baseball fans, sorry, just go off on a little tangent there. By the way, I just completely, like, the live stream, I was like setting up really quickly before again, like so if I seem like I'm unprepared today, it's because I'm unprepared today. So anyway, Jarvin says, hey Eric, happy Friday. How do you normally localize your apps? Do you use individual freelancers for each language, or do you have or have you used a service/agency? Thanks. So I've always used local freelancers, because the agencies are really expensive. Like, if you go into Google Play, you could select an agency, and then there's other ones too, and and you put like the number of words that you want or whatever, and or upload your strings.xml, and it gets really expensive. I think I did one, and it was like $300 or $400 to get my app translated into the languages that I wanted, and it was so what I did was I used Google Docs. I put everything into Google Sheets, and then I shared that sheet with different developers. And I went into Upwork and I said, I have whatever, let's say 2,000 words to translate, which is one. So there's the strings.xml, which is, I was using Corona, so it wasn't strings.xml, but it was basically the strings of the thing. Let me see if I can find it on here. Give me a second, because I'll show you what I mean. See if I can find it. Share my screen here. So here's you guys can't see me. There we go. So here's an example of one that I did. So I went through and I took, this is one of the documents. I took it and I put the in-app strings into a sheet, and I think this is one where I shared with different people. I had my in-app strings, which is like, my in-app strings, my app specific. Oh yeah, so I have another one here too. Let me bubble bath translation. I have another one here somewhere. That's the same one. Well, let's have a look at this one. So basically you go through. The nice thing about using Google Sheets is, like, if you're just testing, so like if you're going to do this, I think if I do my App Store strings, so yeah, I've got my App Store strings, which is stuff I wanted to put in the App Store or the upgrade, my categories, my vocabulary. But then I have another document. So I have another Google document, Google document with the description too. So you need to think about your title, your subtitle, your description, your in-app strings, and whatever. And then basically all I did was I would just create the formula here. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. I'm just kind of oops. Oh, whoa. All right, so let me just see if I can find that document, because I want to show you the right one. All right, I'm gonna share this one here. So here's one where I just basically took the document and then I put it into Google Docs, and then I shared this document with a translator, and then they went through and translated it. Oh, geez, wrong document again. See, it's because it's been ages since I did this. Localization templates. Oh, not that one. So it just really easy. So it was just really easy just to share this with certain developers and just to be able to do that. Now the nice thing about using Google Sheets is that you have a Google Translate function. So you just do Google Translate, drag it all the way down there, use that within your app while you're testing it. But also remember, well, you're the developer, you should know where all the buttons are. You should know how to get back to where it is. Or actually, no, you have to know where it is in settings on the phone. Many a time have I put like my phone into Arabic, and then I don't know enough Arabic to be able to find my way back into settings and change it back. I'm going everything by the icons next, so I think, where was it again? I have to get another phone and go, oh yeah, that's right, that was the language one, is the third one down, whatever, and then I go back and do it. So you have to remember where that is, but that way you can go through and check it, just make sure it is. Because when you do the localization, which is basically putting a string within your code, right? You're just like, for when I did the strings.xml, that's easy because it does it automatically. In Xamarin, you have the resx files. In iOS, you have the plist files. In Corona, I just had a function that said get string. You pass in the variable name, and it comes back with the localizate the whatever the local one is, and if that one's not there, it returns the English. And usually what will happen is you'll find out as you're going through it, or your developers are working on it, that you forgot a few of them. So it's good to test in another language. And then when you get all that working, then you can send it off to the translators. But yeah, I don't go through the official services. I just go through, like, it's, for me, it's like, I don't care if it's like a 15-year-old kid who does it. I don't, it's not like a legal document or anything. But that's me, Rano. I know I've talked about this before. The song is Darude Sandstorm. Oh, is it? Okay, cool, thanks. Aruna Umar, hey, how are you? I'm good. Naruma, how are you? Sorry, Rana, how are you? TRGF. Rizwan says, can we take this session up a notch? Have one of your viewers on audio or video questions live on a call? Yeah, should we do that? Let's see. How can we do that? Let's see. If anybody wants to give me their Skype, maybe we could Skype you or something. We could try that. We could try it live. Does anybody want to chat live? But you have to be on video. You have to be on video. That's the thing. I'm fine to share this, share this with somebody. Any volunteers? How can I show the local currency in the app? So, that's easy. Usually, like, the string formatting will show the currency. Like if it depends on what you're talking about. If you're talking about from the Play Store or the App Store, what I would do is dynamically get it down, because then that way you get not just the currency, but the exchange rate. So like get it dynamically rather than hard code it. Like if you say upgrade now for 99 cents, you don't want to say that. You want to say upgrade now for whatever. Retrieve the data when the app opens. That way you can display that dynamic value. That does two things. First of all, people in different countries are going to see their local currency. And secondly, if you need to play around with the price, you can. You could just go ahead and raise it, lower it, try stuff out without having to re-release the app again. Donraj says, is Flutter good? Yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah. It is. Lots of people are using Flutter. I talked to the developer yesterday, and I was saying, we're talking about a Xamarin project. He says, we prefer Flutter. It's a bit, he's trying to explain to me what Flutter is. And I know what Flutter is. But let's see. Nitin says, hi, sir, how to prevent invalid traffic and remove ads limit. So the biggest thing, and again, we had this question like 5 times last week. The biggest thing would be to make sure your test device is set as a test device in the AdMob settings when you're running it. Your local device, when you're going through the iterative testing over and over and over again, that's going to keep showing ads. Make sure that's there. Even if you don't click on them, it's going to be bad. And also, try to prevent showing them too much if you can. Amar says, hi, Eric. Honestly, Eric. Thanks, Amar. Honestly, Eric, you're a very big motivator for many creative programmers and YouTubers who don't get any support, including me. Hey, thanks very much, Amar. We appreciate that. It's really nice of you to say. Even though this week I didn't do any videos. But I appreciate that, Amar. Thank you very much. Rupak says, hi, Eric. Have you ever used Thunkable or Codular App Builder? No. Are those new? Thunkable. No. Let's have a look. Thunkable. Let's have a look at it here. Drag and drop app builder for iOS. I mean, you know what? Do you know what's kind of funny is that there's so many of these here. Oh, it's cool. It's a bit like drag blocks instead of code. A bit like what's that? What's the thing the kids use? Snatch, not snatch. Scratch. Sorry. Scratch. Was it Scratch? It was Scratch. It's cross-platform. Remix. Start from scratch. It's all getting all warm in here now. Remix. Start from scratch. Cool. I have never used any of these. What's the price? Let's check out the pricing. Free. 10 public projects. 200 megabytes. Thunkable app branding. Test with pro components like AdMob. 21 pounds a month. The pro one. Build annually. Publish as private web app. Yeah, a lot of times and I tell clients, like I'll have clients call up and say they want stuff, and sometimes if it's really simple, I'll say use something like use an app builder. The downside, I mean, the whole thing is whether or not you actually get your key store file at the end. So I mean, it's all whether or not, if you can use something like an app builder and build up your audience, then that's really cool. Let's look at some of the other ones. So what is the other one you mentioned there? You mentioned Codular App Builder. I'm old school. I still think of the OGs like Appy Pie and Good Barber. Would you like to keep updated with the news? Yeah, sure, why not? Modular creator, expansions. Yeah. Oh, extensions ID. This looks cool. Like, this is one of the things. Why not use Java? If you're an advanced user, why not code in Java and create amazing extensions for the creator? Oh, cool. Does it do an iPhone as well with Java? So to answer your question, no, I've not used these, but I think some of the things the reasons that I shied away from it are that it not being able to expand on it. And if this does have something you could expand on, then that's great. Create apps. Nope. So no, I haven't. But has anybody else used it? What do you think about it, Rupak? Let's see. Please comment. Me will pay for that. Okay, cool. Sedek says, what do you think about the new Apple Silicon Soak iOS app we run on the Mac natively? Yeah, it kind of reminds me a bit of when they said the APKs could run on Chromebook. I mean, a lot of iOS, like a lot of iPad apps are not actually. I got the sun coming through on the phone. A lot of iOS apps are not really good for the Mac. However, it would be good if they did, right? I think one of the things that I don't like about the iPad, and from the beginning, was the fact that it's something else, right? It has its own OS. I mean, iOS. You forget about the iPad. Like, it has its own operating system, and it has its own, like, the way that it works is differently, right? I would like to have one device that just does everything, and which is one of the things that I thought looked really good about the Microsoft. Was it the thing with the kickstand? God, the Surface. Like, about the Surface is that, you know, if it's one device, like, I would love to just have my phone that's powerful enough that I could take it with me on the go. I plug it into my monitors and my keyboard, and it just works, right? It's just like one thing. I'm not like, oh, I left that home at the desktop, or it's on my MacBook, or it's on an external hard drive someplace. Just have something that's just always with you. And the way the iOS side of things went was like, you keep having to buy the same app. So I bought Scrivener, for example, on the desktop, or desktop on the Mac OS, and then I also bought it on iOS, right? And then they could interface with each other, but you think it should be one application. So I think it sounds really good, but I don't think it's good. Like, excuse me, just say, I'm just gonna go close this window. Okay, pretend you didn't see my flat. So, all right. Okay. Normally I get really nervous about that, like technical difficulties, but we know each other really well now, right? We could, like, you guys are all right with me walking off the thing for a minute, I hope. So what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so I'm not really excited about it. Like, I think those Mac users are gonna go for my iOS apps. I'm just thinking of, like, as a user experience, I think it'd be nicer to have like one thing in multiple places. But that, I mean, what do you rest of you guys think about that? And plus, it's very Mac centric, right? I still think the majority of users are on Windows, and those are the ones that I really like to be able to do that. Liger says, Liger Infotech says, say something about multiple AdMob accounts and managing it. So that's something, I don't have multiple AdMob accounts. And I know from the beginning, I know lots of developers who have had multiple. And the thing that puts me off it is I once had I was in this mastermind group and I was all these other developers, and they had multiple accounts of everything. And they had multiple App Store accounts, multiple Google Play accounts, and they would have like multiple bank accounts for each one, for all the different ones, and multiple emails, multiple bank accounts, multiple everything. And to me, it just seemed like, when it got to doing multiple bank accounts, it just seemed too much like, it just seemed dodgy to me. Like you're genuinely trying to play the system, and that may have been overkill. Like, I've never actually done it. I kind of like the idea of having one thing, right? I just want to go to one account. I don't want to have to like log out of one, go into another one, or even just switch accounts to go from one to another. So it's something that I haven't done, but you know, if I had to, I probably would. And the first time I ever really considered it was when my account got suspended. I thought, should I just set up another account? But then a lot of these accounts are getting suspended because they're coming from, because they can figure out it's the same person setting them up. So, that's kind of what gets me. So, Modi says, I have used MIT App Inventor, but the concept is the same. It's block code. Okay, cool. Rupak says, Firebase versus MySQL. Which one should I choose? Who would win in a fight, Firebase or MySQL? Firebase is newer, it's younger, it's a new kid on the block. MySQL, it's got, it's experienced. So I think it depends. For me, to me, it depends on the application. So Firebase, or I tend to lump Firebase along with other NoSQL services, other NoSQL databases like MongoDB or whatever, where if the nature of the app, it's kind of more the nature of the app. Like if you have like a flexible architecture, like let's say you do a CRM and the users are able to add their own custom fields to it. If you've ever tried to do something where people could add custom fields to a SQL-based database, it can get a bit complicated. You either have something where you have this, you have like a relationship table with the key value type things in it, or you have like a table with loads of extra fields in case they use it, and then they just use it however they want. Like I was working with a database, it was SQL Server, but it would have like user-defined 1, user-defined 2, user-defined 3, all these columns just padded out, right? And every client, I think, have they used user-defined 4 already? Okay, we could put the data there, right? Which was just awkward. Whereas something like with a NoSQL database, you're basically just saving documents like as JSON objects. Yeah, they're JSON objects really, but I know that some people will say, actually, technically they're not necessarily JSON, but to me, I just think of it as JSON. So I could make them as nested and hierarchical as I want, rather than have to do that. So like a chat is perfect for it, because very rarely do you need to report across all chats or whatever. So but if you have something that's like you need to query a lot, like something like tabular data, like if you have like a financial application or something where reporting is really important, then I prefer to go the SQL route, because then I hate when trying to search through a database. People think, I wonder if anybody else is having this problem, or I wonder if anybody else is doing this, and it's in a NoSQL database, and you have to write code to loop through everything to find these nested objects, because the querying in NoSQL, you can still do it, but it's a little bit more limited. Even just doing something like a like query. Like doing a like query in Firebase, you have to set up an Elastic server, is just weird. But it's also, in Firebase, you have two things. You have you have real-time database, and you have Firestore. Firestore, I would definitely go the Firestore route. We did one in dynamic database, and it just cost us loads, because every time we queried the data, we'd have to get the entire node, and our download costs are really high. Siraj Raval, yeah, it was Siraj. That was his videos. He made machine learning look so easy, but it was like way over my head. So if you guys have that in you, then definitely do it. Kiki Twerk says, is Ionic relevant today? There are so many outdated Cordova plugins. I think I'm dropping it. What should I do instead? Thanks. I'm kind of the same, where so one of the projects I'm working on is taking an Ionic version 1 app and putting it to Xamarin. So, and it's definitely at the point where I feel like that Ionic 1 application is just, it's dying, it's limping, right? And it's getting to the point where, because I remember when Ionic 2 came out, Ionic 2 was so different, because it was Angular 2 was so different, right? There was no way they could make it the same. And they said, we're going to continue to support Ionic version 1. And I think they kind of have, but it does feel like that kind of thing where it's like, it's moving away from it. And I did a video once where it was really popular, and I removed it because Ionic asked me to, and I kind of felt bad about it. Basically saying that I was not comfortable with using Ionic for any new projects, because I was worried about the whole WebView thing. Right? Every time, in case for some reason Apple decides to, get in a mood and say WebView applications are not secure because they can't review them properly, because they could dynamically load stuff or whatever, although any app could. so I was worried about that, and I got like loads of terrible comments and loads of stuff, and I think it helped grow the channel a lot. But in the end, I removed it because they asked me to, and I thought, well, Apple's technically not. I don't know of them having rejected anything on that. So, however, yeah, the Cordova components are really old. If you ever look for a Cordova component and you find something, and the first thing I do is I look for you go into GitHub, you think the last commit date, and if it's like older than a year, it's kind of like, oh, do I trust this one? So yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. When there's a new project that comes along, I don't really think of Ionic unless there's a PWA opportunity, and very rarely do clients come to me wanting apps and thinking, yeah, and we'd also like a PWA, because only a few people know really what it is, right? It hasn't reached the mainstream consciousness yet, at least not in my opinion. Hamden says, what are we talking about? Oh, I don't know. So Shahaba says, hi Eric, how are you? I am good. I'm fantastic, thanks. One of my apps has over 30,000 impressions, AdMob ads, but it makes less than $1 a day. Is that 30,000 impressions a day? Estimated earnings around $8.44. What am I doing wrong? Shahabas, first of all, I like the fact you put your picture in the profile picture. Smile, man, smile. Did you take this picture because you were so upset about the AdMob revenue? Is that why? I would say look at which country it is. So are we talking? So what I would ask you, it would be like, is it banners or interstitials? Is it in which countries is it actually being served in? Because 30,000 impressions is impressive. Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I would think. What countries are you actually in? And could you put in a mediation network and raise the eCPM floor? Because maybe, so if you get into mediation, right, maybe you got some other ad networks which will take over more based on that. So if, like, say the majority of your, let's say the majority of your impressions are in China, or let's say they're Brazil, right? And the eCPM for AdMob is low in Brazil, then if you bring a mediation network that is higher there, then maybe you could actually send some of that traffic over there and do better that way. But let me know how that goes. Kiki Twerk says, Android Studio 4.0. Oh, sorry about that. I was gonna say Android 4.0. Oh, yes. I Teach Tech says, hi Eric, big fan of your channel from Pakistan. Thanks, I Teach Tech, appreciate it. Everybody, bow your heads. Byron Lovelace is here. Siraj Byron, who catches me out every time I repeat something, a topic that I've already talked about before. Anyway, Byron says, Siraj Raval is a fraud. He barely understands the concepts in his videos, not worth watching. His GitHub repo is full of other people's work. Yeah, I think, I wonder whether or not that was kind of why I thought it looked easy, because I thought, well, he seems to be like a normal guy, and he's able to grasp this, and maybe but obviously he couldn't. It was just that. So, hey Byron, a couple weeks ago you said that you were getting a tough time with reviews on your subscriptions. Was that you? Or was it that may have been Bart? Sorry, but it's good to see you here, Byron. I Teach Tech says, can I purchase multiple play console account? I don't know if it's against the rules or not, right? I don't know if that's in the terms and conditions. I mean, I've never actually tried to do it myself, because I would imagine that would be tough. Yeah, I would imagine it'd be tough. Robert T. Hey, Eric. Hey, Robert. How's it going? I'm here for the Alpha Male live stream, or is that next week? Yeah, next week we are starting our Alpha Male live stream, right? So every week it's the next week. But yeah, we're gonna talk about first. We're gonna talk about abs. We're gonna talk about pecs. We're gonna talk about cars. We're gonna spit collectively. Like, I'll spit here at my house, and you guys can spit wherever you guys are. And we're gonna speak in our deeper voices. We're gonna call each other bro. All right, bro. Next week, bro, we're going to do our Alpha Male live stream next week, bro. 13 November says, I also do mobile coding, yet not able to make a living from it. Well, yeah, I mean, Wait, do you mean like as a freelancer or actually from like your own work? Because it is difficult with your own work, but Zero Byron, yeah, maybe he did a decent job explaining some of the science behind it and made it more accessible. Yeah, I might have done. Shivam says, what's the scope of Golang from Google as a career, or any backend language to use as a career? To me, I don't know. Like, I haven't seen a lot of jobs for Go. In my mind, I always think of Go like, all right, way back in the day, Visual Studio, the first version, like one of the first versions of Visual Studio, had Visual Studio 6, Visual InterDev, I think I'm getting this wrong, and Visual C++, and Visual Fox Pro. Visual Fox Pro was so weird that I never knew any developers who did it. Like, I didn't know a single Visual Fox Pro developer. And I went to this one course, and I talked to this guy who was, his company had to hire people, like a special company that only did Visual Fox Pro because they had this legacy code in Visual Fox Pro, but they could never find any developers who knew it. And that's what I think about Go. I think it's probably really cool, but I don't know, like, I don't want to get into the beta max of programming languages. Like, that's my whole thing. It's like if I'm going to invest time in it, I don't want to do something where like nobody needs it, and even then I'm not that interested in it. But so I don't know. I haven't seen a lot there. Robert T says, I'd like to see app developers collaborate and share a list of commonly used localized strings. That's a really good idea. See, what I was thinking about, Robert, was I would like to see like a collaborative in-app purchase library, something that which is unit tested. You just plug in your stuff and it will say it'll work on Google Play, Huawei, or Amazon. Just basically what it is, and you just go through and set up your variables, and it does all that for you. Because a lot of times with in-app purchases, it seems like we have to write all this stuff ourselves over and over again. Like, we get the snippets, like, here's what you do when the purchase comes through. Here's how to respond, all this kind of stuff. And those kind of things may exist, but you're right. There's a lot of stuff with the apps which is just be like, your dialogue, okay, cancel, that kind of stuff. There'd be like start, home, menu, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, there's loads of stuff, like a collaborative string kind of things would definitely work. We're talking about Siraj again here. Let's see. Byron says, what am I doing? Byron says, I have to disagree. He has done a poor job in many of his videos. His explanations are not good. The content is rushed and chaotic. The only thing he deserves credit for is inspiring people. One of the things that I'm really careful about on this channel is to tell you when I haven't tried something. Like, and sometimes it feels like it's all I do on the live stream is say, oh no, I've never used that app builder. I never did this, because it's easy. I did a video about this a few weeks ago with the beware of the experts. It's so easy. It's easy to claim to be an expert, but it's even easy to sound like an expert to people who aren't experts, right? It's like, I'm sure there were people who knew what he was talking about really well, who could tell that he didn't know what he was saying, right? Which is kind of that, if you guys have ever worked in an office and then you see like a developer explain to the boss why something's not working, and you know that that's not true. Like, Internet Explorer doesn't actually support that. It's like, and you're just like, I never say anything because I'm just being polite. I'm like, does he actually know? Is that what he actually thinks, or is he just trying to, get himself some extra time, right? So there's, the people in the know usually know, and it's really difficult when people claim to be experts. So that's one of the things where I'm not an expert on anything, even stuff that stuff that I don't want to ever be considered an expert on anything. But yeah, you're right, Byron. Ravi says, what do you think about Seth Godin, the marketing guy? So I'm a big Seth Godin fan. I have on my bookshelf over here, I have Purple Cow. I've read, I'm a big Seth Godin fan. In fact, a lot of like, especially in the early 2000s, there's I did a video about this, but there's a really good article by Seth Godin saying, what did you do in the 2000s? Let me see if I can find that, because it's, see if I find it here. It was on Fast Company website. And this is like one of the first things, one of the first things I read about Seth Godin was this article. And then I've read a lot of his books since then. But like, you know, it's that kind of like, what did you do in the 90s? It talks about, this basically came out in, I think it was, 2003. But it's a really good article for those of you guys, if you Google it. It's just as relevant in 2020 as it is then. Basically what it says is, you know, you're going to get to 10 years from now and you're going to be saying, what did you do in the 2020s, right? What did you do in the 2020s when the economy was turned upside down, when everybody was looking for a software or an app developer? What did you do when you had access? You didn't even have to set up a server. You had loads of free resources. Education was free. You could just do whatever you wanted to, and you just set up, and and internet was fast. And before the 8th lockdown we've had or whatever, what did you do? Already we could say, what did you do? What did you do in the 2010s when you were allowed to go outside? But yeah, I'm a big Seth Godin fan. So Lynchpin was a pretty good book. A lot of times I want to say he's dated, but I think he's like Robert Kiyosaki, where you hear enough, you know what he would say before he would say it. He's kind of like, but his whole thing about the purple cow was something remarkable. You know, put something out there that's remarkable that people would mention, and that's the only way to survive in the new economy. And there's a lot of art. I liked his books. Tom Peters I was a big fan of, and Daniel Pink also. There's kind of like this group of people that I was really big into. Bryson Phil says, that can be tricky, Robert. Context matters a lot, and choosing the right translation could be done by a speaker of the language. Well, yeah, Bryson, this is true. This is like when I talked about this spreadsheet thing that I did, the context does matter, right? I mean, it would matter even if I gave it to a translation service, unless they knew specifically what I was talking about. Even just using the word start, right? It could have different connotations in different languages. Or you could say, oh, that means, you know, that's start in this context, that's start in another context, that kind of stuff. So, but you're right. Unless it's an obvious thing like a cancel confirm button. Yeah, you're right. Omar says, yeah, Arabic, my language. Oh, how far behind are we on these questions? Actually, it's very hard to, even for the natives. Great point. Long short strings like undo item deleted perfectly. Yeah, that would save a lot on just going to the translators. If we did have like a common library like that, that would actually be really useful. Dimitar Milken says, AdSense saying we are working on setting you up. It usually takes a couple of days, may take up to 2 weeks. It's been 2 months, and AdMob has a conflict with this AdSense account. Dimitar, have you been able to? So I'm considering Appadeal. What do you think? What do you think about that platform? So Appadeal, when I used Appadeal, and I'd use it very, like, not a lot. I mean, Appadeal still uses AdMob, but at least you use Appadeal. If you use Appadeal, could you use AdMob? Well, you could use AdMob with Appadeal, but could you do it so that once that does get approved, that just starts working, so you can release your app now with the other networks? That might be worth it. Rizwan Ada. Oh, is it my Skype? Well, let's see if we can do this. All right, Rizwan Ada. I'm going to try to Skype you here. We're going to try to do this live. We're going to try to have I have to turn on Skype. Now, I think it's possible to do this. Let's see. Is it possible? How do I set this up? Oh, come on. Oh, I can't find you. Why can't I find you? There's one AMC. Oh, I can't do it. Let's see if I can figure this out. I suppose I should do this earlier. Contacts, new contact. All right. Well, yeah, Rizwan. Let's see if we can come back to that one. Hicks Simonian says, "Hey Eric, my Google account is open from Europe. Does this mean that we will get low ECPMs or ECPMs compared to if it was open in the USA, or is the audience of my app that matters?" I'm pretty sure it's the audience that matters. Fistable says, "I miss the Overpass videos where you used to walk into beautiful parks and England B roads." Yeah, I think I need to do that again. I've got all these cameras and stuff. I see in the background, I've got all these cameras and stuff that I haven't been using because I've just been in the flat mostly. Ravi Kumar says, "I'm not able to reach 4,000 watch hours for my YouTube channel. How did you get yours?" I think I just putting just content out as much as possible. Like in the beginning, hardly anyone watched. Rodrigo was one of the first people to watch. Rodrigo was one of the first people to watch and comment, and it was like, it's that thing. It's just plugging away. It's just, and I've only got what 30. I guess we reached 31,000 subscribers or 32,000 subscribers this past week, which is a far away from. I want the silver button. I want the silver play plaque, right? The 100,000. But I'm talking about apps, so. But I think it's just putting stuff out there. If you. One of the big things that made a big difference for me was just starting to do it every day. Not because it got me more subscribers, but it just got me more comfortable. It just got me more comfortable doing it and stuff. So, and the more you do, the more, again, it's like an app. Like the more keywords you have, the people that find you in your channel and stuff like that. So, let's see. Fahad says, "What release note? What release note when update an app?" So we're talking about release notes. So you have the release notes that you do for your clients if you do that, I assume what you're talking about is the what's new section. My what's new section always, unless there's something specific that I want the users to know about, it always says improve functionality, minor bug fixes, don't forget to leave a review, right? It's that, because ultimately that thing is what you want them to, when they're looking at and deciding whether or not they actually want to bother upgrading. That's what you want to do. I'm very vague about it. Like, I'm not saying I fixed this one thing on this one section, and then I've got them. They're like, "No, I don't care about that," right? So, but hopefully, it's automatically updated. But in those rare situations where they're deciding whether or not they want to even bother upgrading, I just wanted to be very generic. That's my personal thing. I want to be very generic, and also don't forget to leave a review, is because I'm constantly begging for reviews. Scratch, yeah, that was Scratch. Sorry about that. I'm way behind. Scratch. Phil J says, Hey Eric et al. I gotta say it's been a good day. Made a steak and drinking beer. Now I'm sipping on gin and juice with my mind on my money, my money on my mind, laid back. It's really nice outside. I've been working on a bug all day, but I did go outside briefly, and it's beautiful outside. I mean, Phil, you're in the UK, right? It's a beautiful day out there. In fact, I might do the same, Phil, when this is over. Although it'll be oven pizza and might just be juice. But the pub's open. I might go down there. Fist Double says, I think that given your client's experience, your client work experience, you could create some client management training content in this very channel. It would be a real success, I think. Yeah, I think a lot of times when it comes to dealing with clients, like, I wish I could say I was an expert at it. Like, I wish I could say, like, everything always went right. Everything's always, perfect. There's times where I think, like, it's just, you're constantly going from this thing to that thing to this thing to that thing. And it's like, and clients are like, but yeah, clients are like anybody. They're all different. I can't say. You know what clients really love? Actually know what clients really love is feedback. They love feedback and updates, right? And when they don't get those, it just makes everything more. I mean, that is a blanket statement I feel comfortable to make about clients. Julian, hey Julian, how's it going? Hi Eric. You are probably already talking about it, but what do you think about the Apple switching from ARM processors in their computer, switching to ARM processors? What do you think it'll impact software development for Apple platforms? To be honest with you, Julian, when I read this, I was like, my God, I really don't care. I think because I'm dealing with, because I'm dealing with the, because I don't build desktop applications. So it's not something that I was really too concerned about. And whenever we talk about hardware, like even when we talk about ARM on a mobile device versus whatever x86, whatever it was before, even then I was not that impressed. I'm more like I think because the coding that I do is not so low level that it makes that big a difference to me, right? If I have a client come to me and say, like if I have a user come to me and say that it's running slow on their phone, then I might dig down into it thinking, okay, what kind of processor? Like then I would start to like educate myself on that kind of stuff. But when it comes to most stuff, that I'm not too worried about that. It's something that I haven't thought about a lot, and maybe I'm being naive there. Like the same, I think about the same way. When somebody asks what size engine I have, like for the car, what size engine is it? And I'm like, it's about yay big, whatever. It just goes right over my head, right? I'm looking, it drives. I check the oil. Like it just kind of like, that's kind of like I just assume it's going to do what it's supposed to do. So that's something I haven't thought about too much, Julian. I know I should. As a technical person, I should have an opinion on this, but I just don't. So I've never been a hardware guy. I've always just been software, and and my assumption has been when we have stuff like that, when you have like a major hardware component go in, or even like whatever Pentium or AMC is that what it is? I assume that the operating system is going to be at the level where my code should still stay the same. Like I shouldn't have to worry about like I don't write code that's so low level that I have to have those kind of considerations. But I mean, what do the rest of you guys think about that? Fist007 says, I'm not a huge believer in web-based app makers. Just today I had to build an Android app to send SMS to users based on the rules it gets from a server. Good doing that in a web-based app. Yeah, I mean, we got the web-based apps, but you could have like it's an SMS based on rules it gets from a server. Yeah, I guess, but that would still, you would send your SMS through a gateway on the server though, wouldn't you? I mean, the server would still be there, but True says in-app purchase currency in local, like Indian people see it in INR, USA, PC, etc. I'm talking about an app, not to show Google them. Google will do it, but they also have to see it in the app. Yeah, I would get that from Google Play first, and you could do it like you could retrieve the stuff first as you go through. Because I've done that. I did that in EarSpy, where before it was just buy. So you have that awkward thing where there's a buy button because I didn't know how to get from the Google Play, and then you click buy, and then it comes up with a Google Play thing. And first of all, people don't want to click buy because they don't like I don't know. For me, I was always afraid, like when I first got the phone, whether if I click buy, that was it. My money would be gone, right? And then you start to realize, oh no, it actually comes up with a Google Play pop-up and all that stuff, which is more of a technical thing, right? If you're an advanced phone user or an experienced phone user. Smartphone user, you know that's going to happen, but we'd be missing out all those people who are afraid to even hit that button. But if that button has a price on it, then they know what they're getting into. Nobody wants to click on a button and have something pop up and say $100 or something. Freddie, hey Freddie, how's it going? Says, hi, I enjoy your videos. Thanks, Freddie, appreciate it. I don't know you. Okay, I love your videos. Enjoy your videos. I know you don't really do games, but is mobile game development a good thing to still get into? I've been thinking about expanding my web development business to include game dev. I think it is. Like, well, I don't. It's the thing about me, Freddie, is I'm not that much of a gamer. I mean, my kids will tell you this. I'm not much of a gamer, so it's like I don't understand it. Like the fact that Candy Crush in their heyday was making $1 million a day because of people, just upgrading as they go, or people would pay to have like new skins on their avatars and stuff. It kind of goes over my head. Like I don't quite understand it. So conceptually, I don't. So the games that I've done has been like language learning or educational. So there's been like Algebra 1s and stuff like that. 'Cause that's kind of stuff where I think is useful. And every time you have something where you can combine gameplay and something like if you were to do a business application and you were able to combine gamification with it or gameplay with it and help their people do whatever, then that's huge. But when it comes to really, my kids would always say, why don't you make good games, Dad? And I was like, oh, you know, it's like mine have always been very repetitive. So I do think so, but I do think it does. I mean, see, I watch my my ex-wife. She would play these games and stuff like that, and my kids play the games and stuff like that, and it's so addictive. And I think the last time I was really addicted to a game was probably Candy Crush for a while. It's so addictive that you can't not play it, right? And it's obviously working. So, but it's finding that thing, and because I'm not, as a user, I'm not that great as a user. I think that's kind of one of the reasons why I don't do games. Not that I don't think it's worthwhile, because I mean, if you look at the most recent App Annie report, which I need to do a video on if I haven't done it already this year. You can see what the top earners are on some of that stuff, and I think a lot of them are games, but usually it's subscriptions type of stuff. Freddie, I'm kind of talking around this because I guess I don't really know. Sorry about that, but yeah, I do think it's okay. Let's ask the rest of the group here. Who out there is a game developer and you're doing pretty well? I mean, you know, let me know. It's be interested to hear that. As If Gaming says, how much time will it take to rank an app in the top 10 difficulty 6 sensor tower with proper ASO? How do I know if the ASO, which I did for my app, is wrong or right? You would have to so the top 10 would be, you're talking about the top 10 for the category or for the keyword that you're looking for? And I would imagine it would be that depending on which keyword it was. Oh yeah, so Freddie, your question's on here twice, but I've been thinking about expanding my web development business to include game dev. Okay, I think that's a good idea, because web dev is dime a dozen, but like I've had people come to me and they want to do games, and they say they can't find anyone who does games, and part of me is like, I don't want to do games either. And a lot of times it's marketing companies. Marketing companies want to do games for their clients, and they could partner with you. And if you're genuinely like your web development business and you could do games for clients, then that would be huge. But keep in mind that we're doing game development. Like we did a game for one of the first client projects we did was a game, and it actually, you know what, I will go out on a limb to say it was even a fun game. It was it was for a trade show, and it was kind of like you use the accelerometer and you flying this spaceman through like asteroids and stuff like that, and had to and it was all branded towards the company, and they were playing it at the XL exhibition hall in London, and they had it on a big screen and people with the tablets and everything doing it, and they had a leaderboard which was basically just a web page that refreshed every few seconds, and they loved it, right? But it was like, we quoted like a really low amount for it. I think we quoted like £3,000 for it. And, the artwork alone took it was just like, we had discussions about level 3 is a little bit too hard. Could we make level 3 a little bit easier? So can you tell me exactly what you mean? No, it's just a little bit too hard. Okay. And the character is really cute, but can you make him a little less cute? Can you tell me exactly what you mean? No, just less cute. And the bad guys aren't scary enough, or the aliens aren't scary enough. It was like, and it's like, and I'm just relaying this back to the designers, and it's very much like an iterative process. And it was just like that kind of stuff just ate up so much time, right? Whereas if you're doing something that's like a utility application, I could do a flow chart. It says exactly what it should do. And even if the buttons need to change a little bit, it's not like a huge amount. So Freddie, if you can do it, definitely do it, because there's a demand, but not sure. I think you should try it. Put it on your website and then see, if someone comes around, but just make sure that they define it in advance. But we do have some game stuff. Everybody, Rodrigo's here. Hey, Rodrigo. And he says, everyone smash the like button. Everybody smash. If you could do me such a favor, if you could smash that like button, I appreciate it. Alec Acosta, hey Alec, how's it going? When they said they would use the ARM processors, I thought about the Chromebooks being the same thing. Oh yeah, I guess so. Rupak says, sir, Modular App Builder is free and they take 50% commissions from the ads. And if I want to remove this commission, then give $7. See, that sounds cool. So when I see stuff like this, I want, like everyone says, can you use like the same AdMob on different accounts? Like, that's one of the things. Like, surely they, like Modular must have their own AdMob account so that they can have it go through them and then they pay you, right? But I mean, because I thought about doing that. I thought about doing apps for people for free. Like, actually, I thought about using Good Barber, the reseller account, and just doing it for free. And then if people wanted the apps for free, then we would get some of the ad revenue. But, you know, like it was like one of these things where I thought, nah, just like it's, I don't know how well that would do. Smash the like button. Thanks very much, Rodrigo. Appreciate it. Alexander says, what's up, gangsta? What's up, Alexander? I'm glad you can make it. User-defined X is a dumb thing to do. I agree. I know we're talking about on database tables. I'm so far behind. How far behind am I, Rodrigo? Half an hour? Like usual? User-defined X is a dumb thing to do. You should have a table for storing custom field relationships, entity table, and have another table to store the actual extra fields. True. However, that gets really, really slow depending on how many fields you have. You might be okay if you knew the maximum number of extra custom fields. Yeah, I mean, I've done that. I mean, I've done that once before. I went into a client. I went into a client, and they had this extra fields. Like, actually, no, what they had was a separate. They had like one product, but because they wanted to make sure that under no circumstances could one client see another client's data, rather than just limit it based on foreign keys, they did it like a separate instance of the database each time, which is fine, except that some clients had more fields than others. So they had this mess where every time they released a new version of the app, they would have like they were using Subversion, and they were using Subversion because a couple years earlier, I'd recommended that they needed some sort of source code control. And I thought Subversion was the cool thing for me, but I wasn't big into branching. So I came back a couple years later, because they asked for my help on something, and the branches were everywhere. It was like I saw the branch tree in the SVN Turtle or whatever it was called. I can't remember the GUI on Windows for Subversion, and it was just like these branches everywhere. It was like, oh god, it was, you know. Whereas so the thing is, I took their database and I said, we just need to have something like this. So I did exactly this. I did a entity. So I had like a table called entities or extra fields or something like that. And that was it. You put everything in there, and then it would have the field key, and then you would have the database. So that it was just like that, right? And it was like technically very clever, but when we ran the queries, like, and it took me a while to do this, right? It's like, migrated everything over, and it ran like a dog. It was like, it was really, really slow. Rifat says, why don't you, Eric, why don't you plan your videos? I ever thought about the series of videos? There is a great, ever thought about a series of videos for the channel? Yeah, a lot of times it's, yeah, I could do. I mean, a lot of times you're right. You're absolutely right. I should plan the videos. I should plan them a bit better. You guys deserve more than this. I just, you know, but sometimes you just want to talk. Like for me, the thing is, see, Rifat, the thing is, I don't want to be a teacher. I just want to, like, a lot of times it's like, you can find tutorials on everything. You can find, like, I don't want to just give you as much information as you can get from a book. I like to share my experiences and share the kind of stuff, like from the beginning. Well, actually not from the beginning, but like eventually I got to the point where I thought, if I go to lunch with other developers, like real developers, like we actually talk about like code and, oh, have you ever worked with this? Oh man, that was like, it was really bad, right? That's like, I like that kind of stuff. And as an app developer, especially you guys are indie developers, it gets really lonely doing this, right? You don't have anybody to talk to. So it's kind of nice just to have a chat about, like, have you looked at this? Have you done this or whatever? And just to share those kind of experiences, as opposed to say, today I'm going to show you how to use X, or today I'm going to show you how to set up Android Studio, or today I'm going to show you this, because you can get that from anywhere. But, you know, it's, That's kind of my ethos, but maybe I'm just being lazy. You might be right. Gerald Mullins, hey Gerald, how's it going? Geroid, sorry, says, hi Eric, I'm looking to get a music license in order to include music library in my app. Just wondering if you have done this sort of thing before and if you have any advice for this. Thanks. I've done it using Envato or Audio Jungle. I use Audio Jungle on a bunch of them, and I use the extended license because I think it was like it depended on how many like apps it was in. So yeah, that's usually what I've used in the past, which I think was okay. And I know there's other, I mean, there's other ones out there. There's also one called XKCB or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but there was like a, I don't know if I have it in my favorites, in my bookmarks. Let me see if I can find it. There was like an audio, like to make your own short, like pew pew, like it would make the wave files for you. But I can't remember what it was called. It was something like I can't remember. It was like, but it was something like XKCD, but not the comic. But yeah, it gets. I've used Audio Jungle, but because we also did gunshots and when we found a series of gunshots. Some of those things are just made really well for it. Techway Woo says, hey, Techway Koo, hey Eric, hey Techway Koo. Desvendado says PWA. Musa says, hey Eric, how you doing? I'm doing fine, doing good, can't complain. Oh, I got a bit of back trouble. It's got a bit of a twinge in my ear when it rains sometimes, but I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. Thanks, Musa. Tech KWQ says, have you received your ad serving been restricted email, but the app obviously is not yours? I've received at least 7 or 8 of these in the app from AdMob. I've forgotten those. It completely freaks me out, and then I just ignore it because I think because the first thing I think is somebody using my AdMob key? And like, should I care about that? Like if somebody else is using my ads? But yeah, I have had that a few times. Let's see. Let me see if I can show you my email here. Show you how often. So UK Bass says, have you ever thought about doing a series on showing an idea from idea to app? So we watch your process and techniques. I haven't actually thought about that. Let's see. AdMob. Come on. So I want to show you guys how many emails I get from AdMob. Let's see. Here's like this is what my life looks like. AdMob ad survey has been restricted to your app. So like every few days, I say like I get this, and you know, it's just constant. And most of these apps are like, I've already removed them ages ago. Academy Awards Flash Quiz. I don't think that ever went live. I think it was like, it may have been live for like maybe a couple days, maybe. It was like, but I still get this email every so often. They just want to remind me of the fact that I've done that. So like, yeah. So in some ways, it desensitized me to the AdMob things. So like if there's any in there, I have to go through those now and think, is there any that's been removed that shouldn't have been? Let's see. So anyway, UK Bass doing a series from idea to app. I suppose so. It's yeah, it would be fun. I think it would be fun just to take some time and put the client work aside. But it's just been swamped with it. Take some time aside and just do some videos where it's just like really well thought out and think, okay, what do I want to do here? Like sometimes when I've done like tutorial videos, like when I've done one on. I've done one on Fastlane or other things. There's nothing worse than going through the video and then like you're setting everything up and then you're putting all the code in and then the camera fails or the audio fails and you have to go back to the beginning and delete everything again and start over again and but let's see. Aaron says, how do you get a SHA-1 realize key? I made an app with Firebase but not working on the release version. A SHA-1 realize key. I made an app in Firebase, but not working on the release version. Usually just you have to download the Google JSON thing, right? Wait, are you talking about for like when you do your key store file? That's usually like just a command line. I use the same one each time when I generate a key store file. I have it's in Evernote. I just go through and do that. Let's see. Alex says, this document may be useful for game developers. It contains the strings correctly translated for using them in games. The strings sheet's called master. What do you think about Tech Lead? I like Tech Lead. I think Tech Lead was, I was watching a lot of his stuff and I thought he was kind of cool. Like he's got way more subscribers than I do. And I think it was, and then I kind of thought, well, he's kind of arrogant. And then I think it was John Mollahan who says, I think he's brilliant. He's so funny, right? And I thought, and then I started looking at it differently. When he says like, you know, you can't judge me. You're not the tech lead. I'm the tech lead. And it is kind of funny. It is, you know, I think he's got a nice personality. I think a lot of times, you know, he talks about being fired from Google or Facebook or that, you know, his wife left with a child and everything. I think a lot of that stuff is kind of clickbaity. I mean, it might be true. It's what is on his mind, but it's also like, I always think especially when I was doing the videos every day, there were days where I would just have like a tough time with a client or a tough time with other things. And it was just like, it was not relevant to the videos. It wasn't relevant to whatever. It was kind of like, that was part of my personal life and not, you know, something that's, you know, I don't know, but yeah, I like him. I guess I'm just going off on a tangent. That's what I do. Let's see. Bart Rack is here. Bart Rack, what's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Happy Friday, Bart. Abison John says, which backend do you prefer? Have you tried Parse? Parse? Is there an alternative? I tried Parse back when Parse was Parse. And I still get, oh, God. Parse? Don't tell me about Parse. I took one of my apps, built my whole app in Parse, and I convinced a client to put their app in Parse, and then Parse, and then and they were pushing Parse at Apps World in London and all these things, like going, you know, you'd be an idiot not to use Parse because they do everything for you, kind of the same way Firebase does actually. And you'd be an idiot not to use it. Why would you be setting up your own server? Why would you be writing your own code? Why would you be writing your own API? Just use Parse. And I remember seeing this thing about it, and you know, it was all like, yeah, you know, Facebook owns Parse now. Use Parse, and then they announced that they were taking it away, and they gave you like a year to migrate, and I never even got around to doing it for a lot of that stuff. So, let's see. Modi says Codular is free, Thunkable is paid. Okay. Wait, Eric is going to Skype someone? Yeah, I couldn't figure out how to do it. Codular says, Codular, have these database, Firebase, MySQL, Firebase, MySQL, SQLite, Airtable, TinyDB, TinyWebDB, Cloudinary. So Firebase used it, MySQL used it, obviously, SQLite used it. The rest of them, no, I haven't. Official Ben 10 says, I make a chat app with Codular and use real-time Firebase database, but it needs some programming knowledge. Then only can we make apps in Codular. Let's see. Rodrigo says, maybe I'll be the first one who talks to Eric live too. Oh, we should do that. We'll have to figure this out for next week. Maybe we could do get somebody else on here. I know you guys get tired of just listening to me talk. You probably do. I don't know. Fist007 says, ideally you should be able to put the words "What's new" section just by reading the comments comments in your repo. Yeah, ideally. Yeah, that would be in an ideal world. Yes, that's what you should be able to do. As long as they don't say changes up until the 17th of June, whatever. Abison John says release note suggestion added more bugs to fix later. Yeah. Official Ben 10. Are you using the API in Codular or the Typhoon extensions? Typhoon is a Java developer, makes free extensions in Codular. Okay. So yeah, if you do extensions in it, maybe I should look into that. Even if you were developing desktop apps, the compiler would handle ARM specificities for you. The software developer, nothing or pretty much nothing will change. That's kind of what I thought too. Ledistic says, do you own any stocks? No, actually, no, I don't. I think I might have a little bit in Vodafone that I bought in the early 2000s. And I say a little bit, like I think like maybe like $5 or something. Like it hasn't even like $5 now. I think I try to get rid of it because I was getting a job in an investment bank and they want to know all these details. I was screw it, I'm not making any money from these stocks, so I'm not a stock guy, unfortunately. But yeah, okay, lots of people who are on the channel are. So if you ask them, Cricket's a highlight says, I love Codular because it's free. Okay. AMT, Eric, AMT. What did I say? AMC? Ooh, yes, that's how cool I am. Yep. I'm just like, yeah. I have a client who in their documentation kept writing HMTL, and I was like, it's just kind of one of those things. It was like, I'm just gonna let that go. I'm just gonna let that go. Billy's here. What's up? What's up, Billy? RN Chandran says, I can't click on it. Hi, Eric. Do you know how to find the SHA release key? I was working in Firebase when I realized the app's not working. I think you're talking about, is it, are you talking about like to sign the application? That's what we're talking about, right? Because I don't think you need a SHA release key for Firebase, do you? Pork Pie Software says, good morning, everybody. I woke up full of cold, so I thought I'd listen live. It's 5 a.m. here in New Zealand. Ooh, I hope it's not the, the thing. Okay, that was one thing. Yeah, get yourself tested. Rupak Barman says, I'm trying to make a TensorFlow extensions and Codular app builder using Kotlin. Ooh, you're tying it all together. Wow. Okay, maybe this Codular thing is good. Which prototyping tool you use? Which one is best? Which one I use still to this day, I use Balsamic. Which one is best? I don't know which one is best. So for prototyping, like my designer uses, well, she was using Adobe XD until I canceled it. And I think she's doing it in Illustrator. Excuse me, wow. I think now she's doing it in Illustrator, just doing like, cause she does the nice looking mockups. I do the nasty, the button goes here, list goes here, and sometimes I'll just use pen and paper, but I still use Balsamic. And I found that when I was using something that looked a little bit, the nice thing about having something that looks like it's a sketch, like Balsamic and all this kind of stuff, is that when you give it to a client, they don't think, I don't know, like you're not doing something. I don't like the idea of using something that's too close to what it will look like when it's live, because then you get into those conversations too early. Hi there. Chili's very cold too. 1 p.m. watching live, checking my email. Lol. Don't check your email. Pay attention to me. First of all, I'm addicted to building software, useful software, and I enjoy the fact that my creations help people instead of making them waste their time. Yeah, that makes sense. It's easier to, Freddie, it's easier to sell a game that's something like a notebook app if it's really good game. So yes, you should publish games in order to make it great, especially if you're doing work with clients. I mean, it's just a rare thing. Modi says, good job, Rupak. I've published my Codular app in Play Store and that, but there's some, so Codular is obviously something I need to look into. Matt says, regarding game dev, I released a math-based game, mental math brain training, which you looked at last week, about 2 weeks ago, and it's made $0 so far. Ooh. I didn't spend too long developing it, only 2 weeks. You don't tell us that, man. You say, dude, man, I was just like, it's the sweat equity, and look what I got. No, man. I mean, have you tried like Facebook ads for that? Because I would imagine that the people you're reaching out to would be like, I just think that would be something that would be, menopausal women would be like a nice demographic for brain training. I mean, not just like a thing, like old, I don't say menopausal women, even older men. Like, I think that we kind of think of where, like, I'm not a game player, but like if you say, if you show me statistics on brain training applications and how they help cognitive abilities, and then we'd be like, oh, maybe I should look at this, right? That could be your advertising thing. Like, go and find some statistics about, whatever, neurons and etc. Billy says, I prefer app development, but I do game development too. My apps are more successful than my games, though. Oh, okay. Zohype says, Eric, I hope you're doing well. Last time I was here a year ago. Dude, man, I'm glad you made it back. Thanks, Zohype. Ladistic Mac Lover, how do you market your app? Word ranking tools. Market, not marker. Tortoise SVN, that's what did I say, turtle? Oh my God. But okay, I know what I'm talking about, right? I'm not just making it up. I didn't just come up with something. Tortoise SVN, that's right. Coder Python says, hi Eric, it's been a while since I've tuned into your live stream. I finished my math exam recently. Congratulations. You could probably do machine learning, right? You could be like, use those maths. Maybe machine learning is going to be that thing that separates the wannabe developers from the real hardcore developers. I don't know. Matt says the brain training one ranks for number 9 for mental math. And that's pretty high competition in ASO. I could improve my ranking maybe. I'm not likely to reach number 1 with lots of downloads. Without lots of downloads. My approach is quick to market, see what desire is. Desire is high, I'll iterate and improve the app. I think that's a smart strategy. I think rather than go and make it perfect, get it out there on the store, which is one of the reasons why those app builders could be good, is that you get something out there and you're able to test the market before you actually do it. Before you actually spend a whole lot of time and money on it. Creativity Inc. says, hey. Hey, Creativity Inc. Let's see. That's a good approach. Focus on apps. What's your click-through rate on AdMob versus Google Ads? Are you talking about Google? I don't know. I mean, we talk about the click-through rate. We're talking about in terms of actually placing ads, right? I don't know the answer to that. I'd have to have a look at that. The average. I don't know. I'll have to have a look at that. I don't know if I can bring it up now because I don't want to show my stats. Fair says, nice icon. Hey, Eric. Hey, how's it going? I'm currently localizing my app before release. Can you recommend me where I can get some decent translations? Thanks a lot. I did a video on this a few years ago, and it was basically I went on Upwork and then put, we were talking about this earlier in here, where we went and did that. So, but yeah, definitely I would go to Upwork. It depends on how serious you are about it. I went to Upwork and I paid $5 per language, and even if you did $10 per language, just go. Don't do all of them. Just do the top ones. In fact, you might want to release your app fair and then see which languages, which countries it's doing well in, and then localize for those countries. Yeah, but for me, it was I remember when I actually went through and started translating it. I told somebody that I was working with that I was just doing $5 on Upwork, and everybody always says, "Why don't you use Fiverr?" The Fiverr is one of those things where lots of people say they use it, but they don't. But it's so I was using Upwork, and I was using Upwork, and then somebody said, "How do you know they're not just saying tosser?" Or how they're not just putting a bunch of swear words in there? And I thought, well, that's the thing about Upwork is you leave a review, and you could always Google Translate is okay for reading stuff. It's you could get the gist of something by putting Google Translate. Now for producing content, it's terrible, right? It's you're pulling something through, and there's all these different words that can mean a certain thing, and it gives you one specific meaning. But going the other way, it could be just really messy languages. So you could always verify, if you were to go to get a really inexpensive translator, you could always verify it using Google Translate. Zoom, live Zoom. Maybe we should do live Zoom. I agree, Zoom is good. I got Zoom, Skype, and everything, plus good audio and light. I'm not sure I could keep up and talk to him. So should we do a Zoom? I don't think we could Zoom on the live stream, can we? No, wait. What skills do we need to be an application developer for beginners to get a job? I think I'm learning Kotlin. It depends on what you get somebody to pay you for. I mean, the more skills you have, the better. I mean, if you have a nice well-rounded CV, then that would be best. And I think getting the experience and the portfolio in place is going to be really important. There's lots of people on Upwork that claim to be a developer and they've never developed anything, I'm sure, right? And and you got to stand out, and the way you're going to stand out is through portfolio and reviews and all that kind of stuff. So Adobe XD, that's what Fizz007 uses for prototyping. Shivam says, what's the scope for Go as a career, as a back-end service language to choose a career? I'm not really sure. I know we answered that one a few times. Rodrigo says, guys, I'm thinking we compile a list of questions to ask Eric next week on voice, like an interview. Thoughts? Okay, yeah, we can do something like that. We need to figure out how to like bring people on here to ask questions in real time. That's a really good idea. Nobody. I recommend knowing where you work, where you want to work, and what you want to develop for Android or iOS games or essential apps. Then learn the tools like Android Studio or Unity, Unreal, etc. Yeah, definitely. If it's something that you're passionate about, you're gonna do better at it. I had a job as a SharePoint developer. Well, it was a .NET developer, and I was doing a lot of Silverlight stuff. And then the company I was with decided to go to SharePoint, and SharePoint was something I had no interest in knowing. And with Silverlight, I would spend the nights reading about Silverlight. I was like, it was really cool. It was like every day I was like, oh, check this out. It was like, this swoops in from the side, whatever. It was really, it was like a joy to work with because every day I was learning something new. When I got to SharePoint, I felt like I just hated it, right? And eventually I ended up leaving, but it was just like, I just constantly complained about it. I hated working with SharePoint. And they were saying, well, like when it came to Silverlight, you were just all over it because I was interested in it. Like if you do something you really like, and this is where Ledistic is totally spot on. If it's something that you definitely want to do, you're going to put the extra hours into it, and you're going to be the best at it that you can be. Whereas if you're doing it for the money, you could be a SharePoint developer, right? There's a lot of money in being a SharePoint developer, except you will just have to lose your soul and your inner fire and all that makes you you. You would just have to become a drone. Apologies to all SharePoint developers. Flutterer says, ASO still working? Since I changed my keywords, my app rank has decreased. ASO, yeah, I mean, play around with it. I mean, ASO is not a trick. It's not something that the algorithm is always going to change. And basically what you're trying to do is make a change, testing it and see what it does. But yeah, it does still work. It's not a trick or anything like that. Fizz007 sounds like pizza time. It is pizza time, and it's gonna be oven pizzas tonight. Even though, I'm having pizza tomorrow night too. It's gonna be a lot of pizza eating this weekend. If I'm fatter next week, don't be surprised. I'm waiting for the stream to end so I can go for a walk. Okay, everybody, we have to tie things up. Fizz007 has to go for a walk. Let's see. Ada Max says, "Hey, Eric, I'm building Flutter apps professionally again. Living the dream." There you go, boy. Man. That's awesome, Aiden. Living the dream. I'm living the dream, Mater. That's awesome, Aiden. And then David says, is Upwork a good place to gain some real-world iOS dev skills? I'm looking to expand my portfolio without having to give up my current job. I don't know, David. The thing, I've never done any work on Upwork. The thing that scares me about it is that you're side by side with people who are making nothing. Like you're like, you might decide that you're going to be like you could make it as a, you're $50 an hour or $100 an hour, and you're right, you're listed right next to somebody who's making $8 an hour, right? It's but you deserve more than that. So I think a lot of times people go to Upwork. I think what they're looking for is give it a try. Give it a try, because worst that happens is you set up a portfolio, you give it a try, you see what comes in, and if anybody comes to you with something like really they're trying to lowball you or whatever, turn it away, because it's not going to be. Note that my current job does not involve app development, but it's in IT. Yeah, I mean, that would be. Yeah, I mean, that would be decent to do something like that. Get paid. So if you get paid to learn, I think that would be good. And then finally, this could be the last one from Arthur Arthur Webb says, hey, Eric, is it worth working in a company that gives you less money and more work that doesn't help with a resume? Yeah, definitely. I think it does, right? I think it's because you're basically building up towards your future. Like, let's say you had a company that gave, let's say a company would pay you $100,000 a year to work in a toll booth. Would you do it? Like, I always think about that. Or like to be a binman. Like, let's say to be a garbage man. Let's say they would pay you, $200,000 a year, and would you do it? Actually, for $200,000 a year, I would. I'd be like out there. Yeah, it wouldn't be so bad. Like people are like, God, you smell. I'd be like, dude, man, I'm just rolling in the money. It's because I'm rolling in the money. But there's other things where I think, yeah, you would. It's almost like you're paying for your education a bit. Like they're paying you, but you're also paying a bit yourself because it's for the experience. Like if you get an opportunity at Microsoft or Google, that would definitely be worth it because that would really stand out on the CV. The same as, I think we made the analogy a few weeks ago about being a mercenary. And if you were if you were a mercenary, you decided you become a mercenary and you had no military experience, then, you wouldn't be as popular or as marketable as somebody who's actually been in the Rangers or whatever. I'm going to have to get going here in a minute, but let's say, nice weekend, Eric. Nice weekend. Abbas and John, is architecture pattern really matter? Yes, definitely, because it's going to be how things scale. When you think about, when you're thinking about your architecture to begin with, you think about how much you can do going forward, right? Let's say you had like an architecture thing. I don't need a backend server, or I'm just going to do it in a PHP, a single server PHP. I'm not going to worry about threading. I'm not going to worry about anything like that. And then you end up, it gets really popular, and then you have to rewrite everything. And then try to migrate the data. Hope we'll just get some videos next week. Yeah, so I'll try to get some videos next week. Does the marketing the app increase organic installs? Yes, it should, because the marketing the app will be getting the paid installs, but then those paid installs will help your ranking, at least at some level. You start getting the reviews, you start getting the downloads, you'll start to get the you'll start to prove to Google and to Apple that your app is actually worth downloading, and then you'll start to get those. So sometimes just getting that first spark of getting them started up. And then finally, Abednav says, my code gets rigid as it grows. How to keep it flexible? Try to modularize it as much as possible. Like we all have that problem where things get really strict, and sometimes you just have to do a good old-fashioned refactoring where you're just saying, this whole chunk of code needs to be moved into lots of little chunks of code, and I'm making these little function calls, which makes it more testable going forward, and it also just makes it a whole lot cleaner to view, rather than have these the big long functions. I know some places where like a function shouldn't be more than, I don't know, like a certain number of lines. Well, I have some big functions in some of my stuff, but anyway, everybody, my voice is starting to go again. Thank you so much for joining the live stream this week. I will try to get some videos done next week. Sorry I didn't do any last week. I hope you guys have I hope your apps do really well this week. I hope you stay healthy and safe, and have a great week, and get out and enjoy this nice weekend, if it's nice where you are. And have a great weekend. I'll talk to you guys again next week.